Good morning, guys, and welcome to a Q&A with me, Clint. I'm just going to be going through Rachel a little post up last night asking for some questions to get sent in for me to answer today, and we're going to get started with that. So we did get a few, so there may be a few more of these question and answers type videos popped up over the next week or so, or maybe even tomorrow. We'll see how we go. But yeah, there is definitely a very common theme that seems to come through to us, not only last night, but I get it a lot when speaking to people out in the public or speaking to members of our team. And it's the big question for today is, why is it generally harder for men to open up talking about their emotions? And how can I use oils to help get them started on that journey? So it's a bit of a big question really to get into, but we're going to have a quick crack at it today. So the best thing I guess for me, how I sort of sum up, I can only ever speak from my experience as most people can. And what I found, probably the biggest limiting thing for me in my journey was that it was never really an encouraged thing. And that's how I kind of see it on a broad sort of spectrum up until, recent years, probably over the last sort of 5-10 years. Oh, hello, wife. So it looks like my audio is working. But yeah, over the last sort of 5 to 10 years, there's been a mass sort of steering the vehicle towards men opening up more. There's been a lot of work online. You just got to look online and you see a lot of people doing a lot of things about opening up, coming into alignment, returning to earth, and, grounding, a lot of breath work stuff. There's groups everywhere now that are very, heavily male focused to help and encourage emotional stuff and breaking down the barriers that some men in particular have in place around being open. I myself was no different in that respect. I used to struggle a lot and still do to some degree. I guess I've come a long way, that's for sure, but I used to struggle a lot with trying to open up, and there was a few things in particular that I put it down to, and what I've learned, and after speaking to a lot of people that, through time, that I believe my number one thing would be that it was never really an encouraged thing. And I'm not just talking from in a family thing. It was broad. The kind of view across the board, whether it be on job sites or on movies or on TV shows, was that men are the big stand-up brick wall kind of warrior type that don't really get into talking about that airy fairy fluffy stuff, and that sort of stuff is what is ingrained into you when you're kind of being brought up through a system that portrays men in that way. You're the food provider, you're the bearer, you're the stand-up protector, all these strong and secure and really barrier type things that they set in place. You're not to be that warm and fluffy and cuddly and talking about these things and crying. It's a very a lot of it is building up these barriers or walls for resilience, so you can brush it all off and carry on to your next job that's in hand. And that's how I kind of see it. Is it's very much that provider mentality that a lot of men are stuck in, and it's a cycle where I guess it's a necessary part, because without the dark you don't know the light and all that sort of stuff. So for me it was very much I was the provider. I was the guy, that the man in the relationship that should have all the answers, or at least have the stable, secure job that brings in the money that's enough to cover our food, so we have we're able to feed ourselves, have a roof overhead so we're safe out of the elements, and have a car so we can get to places if we need to, and all those sort of things that you put on, the sort of stress that you put around yourself as a provider, being in a provider's role, whether it's for your family or whether it's just for yourself as a young man, or whether it's just a relationship, a couple trying to get by. It builds up a lot of barriers and does shut you down a lot from wanting to put yourself out there and be vulnerable and admit that possibly you're not doing things the right way, or, you don't have all the answers. So that, for me, I was very fortunate in a sense that me and Rach very early on learnt a lot of life lessons. That's for sure, that helped crack me open. And and we have had the oils for a long time. But I'm nearly 40. What am I, 38 in a couple of weeks? Everyone around my age, or I guess even a little bit older, even into the sort of mid to late 40s and 50s, and these are all men that have grown up in a different an entirely different way of life. Nowadays it is a lot easier to talk about these sort of things, and without the stigma coming attached to it. It's not necessarily a weakness thing now. It's more it's more accepted, more readily accepted by people, and kind of expected. It's kind of a lot of people are doing some work to change the patterns and cycles of what we've always gone through. So um, I believe, for me, that's kind of what it is around men, especially. We have partners of men that are reaching out to us. So generally they're a little bit older, or they're, a bit younger, maybe in their early 30s or mid 20s or whatever it is. People still struggle a little bit with speaking about emotions. So just written a couple of things down. I just wanted to make sure I covered. So yeah, what are some ways that we can help get some men to, I guess, even start on that journey of talking about it? And then I guess there's the incorporation of how can the oils help there. Um, it is definitely a progressive thing. It's not a thing that can just happen overnight, nor is it like a problem that you can just throw an essential oil at and it's going to provide you a solution. There are definitely a whole bunch of essential oils in the collection that will help your partner on his trajectory as he navigates through opening up and becoming more able to express what he's thinking and feeling, and maybe breaking down some of those rock wall barriers that he's built for himself over time. But it is a progressive journey, and the best thing you can do is just start small. So whether it is your partner is already using the oils, it's a big shift to expect somebody that it has no yet practical use or application for a product to be able to just step up and go, okay, so you're going to be using these tools that you don't know how to use or haven't used before and possibly aren't comfortable with, to talk about some things that you've never talked about, or that you're comfortable with, you're uncomfortable about. And so there's a lot of work that needs to be done on a little ground level before you can just try and incorporate essential oils. If it's completely new to them, it's going to be like a massive culture shock, and it will be something that more than likely won't be sustainable. So if you can start small, start at a real basic level. So when you're talking about trying to get there and talking about and opening up about emotions, the one of the biggest tools that I found in that was starting simple things, like creating small and simple little routines or things you can do that will help and encourage that. So one thing is, I don't have all the words, and maybe you might not have all the words for your partner that can help them open up, but you may be aware of some decent books that are out there, some great podcasts, or some great speakers, or some great mentors or role models around, that kind of will align with your partner and kind of where he's at. You'll know your partner better than anyone else, sometimes probably better than himself. But if you can steer them towards some great books, and I'm not just talking about, I mean, there is some great, autobiography style sport books and things like that, but some personal development books, some growth books, some books that, paint a story about, that kind of that awakening, or that breaking down of the barriers, that growth, that, letting go of what has been, and, moving forward. Some great author, Paulo Coelho is a beautiful author. He tells some great stories, and a lot of them are very in tune with, being stuck in a cycle a certain way, and doing some things like following some omens to get into certain places. I know everyone's most likely has read or heard of The Alchemist as one of his, but it was a great place to start. But those books go on for, he's got so many different books, and there's a whole bunch of good books through, Dr. Joe Dispenza or Dr. Bruce Lipton. There are some great things around the rewiring and breaking the habit of being yourself. Dr. Joe, that's a great place to start. It's a big book, but it includes some meditations at the end and things like that. Yeah, it's just getting a mindset, shifting it around. Like for me, the biggest shift was breaking down that barrier, and I still struggle with that now, doing what we're doing, and breaking the barrier around being that provider and having all the answers and knowing that we're going to be okay, and making sure we've got food in the fridge and a safe place to be. Like they're all the things that are just so innate in, and they generally take priority, especially when your head is stuck in that place, and the stresses around a work environment and all that sort of stuff, they play a huge factor on it. But for me, providing and being safe and secure and having everything that we need to function and just get by in this world financially, and that was one of the biggest taxes on one of the biggest things that kept me from being able to let it all go and start talking about some things that have happened to me in my life, and opening up about some things that are holding me back. And so yeah, definitely a good place to start is with some books. Even if you're trying to get some more out of them yourself, some simple routines around some activities that you can do together that are create that safe space and an encouraging environment. Things like sitting up in the morning. When you get up in the morning, go and sit around and do some stretching. Some simple, if they're into training or running or whatever, doing running with them, or just putting yourself in a position where you're going to be together. You're going to have some time to talk as you go, or you're going to have some time to sit around after it and have a chat. When they're comfortable, or when they're, they might be exhausted after a long run, but you're going to sit around, have a coffee and have a chat, and maybe put the family stuff aside for a little while with the stresses and the money, and, try to set an environment that is, an inclusive space for him to come into and want to start to share. We drop the little hints along the line, but it's definitely got to be it's just got to be a comfortable space, or it's never going to happen. They can't walk into an environment feeling like it's going to be taken and, then used in a way, again, not against them, but, they're going to be the topic of a further conversation where, oh, my husband, it's going to make them close up and not want to talk. Meditation, yoga, sunrise walks, all those simple things. But when it comes to your partner, you're going to know them most likely better than they know themselves, and you'll know what you need to do in terms of trying to get them comfortable. But yeah, if you can break down that barrier, or if he can break down that barrier of being that stuck in that provider cycle where you're the hunter gatherer, you're the financial security, you're all of it all in one, that tends to bear a heavy load on men, especially men around my age, I believe, that have raised in that sort of time. But yeah, things are shifting, and things are getting better, and things are getting easier. So don't give up on that. And also don't one other thing I was just going to say is, don't feel that you need to be the one that does it all as well. Sometimes that might not be what your partner needs. So it's okay for that to come from someone else as well. Sometimes they might not feel comfortable being vulnerable around their partner first. You may have a friend, or they may have a friend. It might be a female friend, or it could be a work colleague that just, they might feel more comfortable being able to express themselves openly initially in front of that person, rather than let their guard down and do it to their partner, where they feel like they've got to be all of it for their partner, and that they've got all the answers and stuff like that. So sometimes it does. We've got a lot of great friends that I've spoken to over the past, and had some great realizations and breakthrough moments while just in discussion, at work and stuff like that. So don't kick yourself if you're not the person for your partner to open them up or something along those lines, because it's going to happen however it's going to happen. All you can do is help guide and be supportive and be encouraging, and yeah, try to create as many moments as you can. So I can see a heap of chat stuff's going up, but I'll have a quick look now. Yeah, the Alchemist is in there. Yeah, something would just say, Rach, sometimes it takes someone else, yeah, not you, to be in softening them. Yeah, exactly. Whether it is the book or counselor, or it just needs, it will come when it's supposed to come and how it's going to come. So don't hold it against yourself or hold grudges if it's not, his emotional journey didn't pan out how you hoped it had, and you were the person that saved him. It's all good. Just get him saved if that's what you're looking for. Yeah. So what are some simple things that we can do with essential oils to help start them on that journey? So I would hope that the best thing you could do is just get them familiar with using essential oils anyway. However it comes, like it's the starting point is what I'm trying to say. If they're uncomfortable, or if it's a introduction to using essential oils, then definitely get them used to having them in their hands, get used to them making up blends, and just include them in the process, because they won't be able to really start a journey with them unless they're familiar with them and comfortable in using them in the first place. So some simple things to get comfortable with using them in the first place is just creating simple little spaces, oil spaces where they're readily available. There's an ample supply of things that are sort of custom designed for him. So we have a massive oil drawer, and I know I can go to the drawer. I know our kids can go to the drawer and they can pick and choose what they want. But that drawer, when you open it up, oh man, there's hundreds of bottles of oils sitting there. And to look at that and think, what am I going to do and where the hell am I going to start, is a big thing. So the best way to do, I find, to get people using them is just get them involved in the process of, if you have some kids or whether you have, you make up oils for themselves, just get your partner in that mindset of helping you mix them up, helping you select the products, get his opinion on smells and scents and how it, especially if you're looking at trying to make up a blend for him, like some manfume. Get him involved in the process. Don't just hand him a bottle and say, here's your new manfume. It's, it's going to replace your Lynx bloody Africa or whatever the hell it is, or your dupe, that old stuff. But get him involved in the process. Get out a few bottles, get out the copibas and get out the sandalwoods and get out those, get some peppermint out, or get just the Motivate's already ready there, or the Peace blend. There's already a few blends in there. Get him out, get him under his nose, put a drop in his hands, show him what it takes to put essential oils onto his skin. Literally just drop the oil on his hand, teach him to rub it in, teach him to have a smell, get his opinion on it, and see what he would like to have as his personal, his personal branding. It's just, your scent is, it's very important. And I guess if he's very attached to an old way and an old system and doing things a certain way, yeah, Trish, I love dupe. That used to be my favorite. I cannot honestly I can't even remember the last time I bought. Rach might know, but geez, it was a while ago. Yeah, and that's it. Things change so quickly. Like, I just look at my own journey and how far I've come in my oils use stuff. Like, even to sit down, I'm like, oh God, I've got to sit down. I've got to jump on. I've got to talk. I'm going to be uncomfortable doing things. Got to get oils out and get them ready so I can just sit here and just don't even know. And I'm putting the oils on just so I can smell them, that's how things can change. It's creating that space, creating the environment, making them accessible, making them super easy to use, and having them everywhere. So if he has a scent, a particular one that he works out is great for him, make up 3 or 4 bottles, put them all in roller bottles, get him one in the car, one in the gym bag, one at the bloody, at the kitchen counter, and one in the bathroom. Like, just have that everywhere with a little sticker on it, just, with your partner's name. So he just knows that that's his, and it's there, easy to use. And get it in when you're talking about trying to get them involved in opening up or setting some sort of routines with the essential oils that are unfamiliar. A great way I learned was to watch Rach with our boys or watch Rach with herself. So I would, and Rach is probably part of her method in the madness was if she'd be putting the kids to bed, she'd say to me, and she still does it, can you get a bloody ear blend for Leon? So go in and get an ear blend. And I'll go to the thing and I'm like, all right, ear blend, what am I going to get? I'm going to get some On Guard, I'm going to get the bloody basil out, I'm going to get some marjoram, we're going to do all this sort of stuff. But I kind of starting to remember now, but she'll still yell it out. Grab some bloody, not at all. Oh, yeah. So she knows that a great way for me to get familiar with them was to teach me by just literally while we're going to sleep, can you get the lavender piece out? Put a couple of drops of that into a bowl and bring me the bowl of oil. No worries. Walk down. All right, can you just put your fingers in it and rub it on his back? And while you're sitting there rubbing him on the back, giving him a little back massage, and he's got a bit of a cough. Can you please just get some On Guard and bring the On Guard out? Or you just put it on his heel. Like all these initial things that come kind of second nature to you if you've already got oils and you're already using oils, but your partner might have they might not have been as, in the game as you are, obviously. Otherwise, we wouldn't be getting these questions. But it's just that getting them as seeing it as like just a common practice. That's what you kind of go for. And that's how I kind of see where we're at now. Essential oils in our baths and in our family and in our world is common practice. It's go-to. It's the first thing that comes out when there's something that needs some work, whether it is through our kids and their, whatever the little seasonal stuff that goes around, or whether it is me that needs to go to sleep and is, got a mind that's running crazy, or whether it is a bloody cut or, something on your shins after a skating, or whether it is the fact that my hips are so friggin' tight and when I go skating, they hurt. Like it's my go-to now. It's like there's something that I can use for everything, but it didn't happen overnight. All I can suggest is to remain encouraging, make it super simple, make it super accessible so it is everywhere, and just drop those little hints like, oh, could you help me make this? Or, get their opinion on things. Can you please help? Yeah, bloody old fart. Thanks, darling. Can you please help me make this? I'd love to make a smell for you, a scent for you that you can wear out of the essential oils. Can you come and help me select some things? Like these are some great suggestions that I have. Like, look, but what do you like? What smells do you like? Regardless of regardless of the stigma that they may have around essential oils and whether they're going to work for things or not, scent is a they want to smell good and they want to know that they smell good to you as well. So if there's something that simple like that, it's not asking them to cure the world. It's just simply having a scent that they smell nice in and that they know you enjoy as well, and that they played a role in it. It will make it a little bit easier to use. And then once that kind of becomes that common practice, the oils come into everything. So if they're on that emotional journey, if they're beginning to, open up and start to talk more and becoming more comfortable with doing those things after, reading some books, all you want to do after reading a book is talk about what you've learned in it, or the lessons that were in there, or, so getting them some time or the ability to even do that. And then through that, you will begin to be able to start speaking to them on a more open, trying to encourage some more conversation around it. And they'll be able to relate, whether they're talking to you about it or not. They're going to be able to relate their own lives into those lessons that they're learning, and they're going to walk away with something. That's a big thing for me. I'll read a book, whether or not I run out and tell Rach every single lesson and look, this is how it related to when I was, bloody a 4-year-old. I fell over and scraped my knee, and this is what I learned. Like, whether I'm doing that or not, it's happening in my head. I'm using the experiences that I'm learning through others and through all the books that I'm reading and the personal development and strategies and how to overcome things and how to drop all those barriers and walls that are built up for myself over the years. I'm learning them regardless of whether Rach is there to hear it. It's happening in my head. So, yeah, if you can, I hope some of that helped anyway. And, you know, I wish you guys all the best of luck in that journey. And who knows where it's going to go or how long it's going to take. But if you're looking to try and, all you're really ultimately at the end of the day is you're just trying to help your partner become a better human being and you know, grow through some stuff that's keeping them back, because you generally know that they're a better person than they probably give themselves credit for, and you just want to show them that. So you know, it's a beautiful question to even have to be asking, how can I help my husband? How can I help my partner? You know, it's coming from a great space. So just hold faith, hold space for them. And yeah, hopefully some of this stuff gave you some tips to encourage them on the journey, that ultimately at the end of the day, it's a journey that they need to undergo, but you can have some tools and some tips to help them on their way, and always with love as always. So yeah, anything else, anything about this video, throw it in the chat, which is pretty much filled with Rach mocking me, I do believe. Yeah, don't put, pretty much, unless they're about to put oregano or peppermint on their nuts, let them have some freedom and use their initiative. Yes, pretty much. And ice blue. Ice blue is great. It's awesome for the lower back until you go and sweat at the skate park, and that lower back ice blue runs to your butt crack ice blue. So yeah, let them have some freedom and let them use their initiative, but yeah, be cautious, help them out. Oregano stings. Yeah. So anyway, lots of love. Anything else, either throw it up in the comments or just send us through some questions if you had some questions, or if there's stuff further, a little bit deeper you want to know, if there's some stuff that you think I can help you out with. Yeah, just send it through a message, hit us up, email, whatever you like, however you feel comfortable, and we'll do our best to help you out. So cheers, much love. Thanks for everyone that jumped in. I can't really see because Zoom's kind of right in the middle of it all, and then there's some comments on the side, but I appreciate the interaction. So lots of love. Until next time. See you guys. Bye.